I'm Menachem Learfield, and this is Dear Rabbi, where we answer your questions about Judaism. This week on Dear Rabbi, I saw an article this week in USA Today, and the article says that TuBishvat is celebrated at this time of year because in Israel, it is spring, even though in the United States right now it's the winter. Since Israel and the US are in the same hemisphere, wouldn't the seasons be the same? Thank you for your question. First of all, just to clarify for those who are unfamiliar, the holiday you're referring to is called TuBishvat. The Tu is Tes Vav, which stands for the 15th, and Shvat is the month of the Hebrew year that we are in. So TuBishvat literally means 15th of the Hebrew month of Shvat. TuBishvat is the birthday of the trees, and what that means in its simplest form is really that it was kind of like the end of the fiscal year as far as trees are concerned. So we have different laws involving produce, like Meiser, certain tithes, and if you want to be able to take produce from one season and use that for certain tithes for produce that was grown throughout that season, it only counts up until TuBishvat. From TuBishvat on, it is now the new year for trees. It is now considered a new fiscal agricultural year, and you cannot take from one year to the other. And there are other laws that pertain to agriculture that are decided based on the year, and that year will begin on TuBishvat. So yes, it is the birthday of the trees. It is the new year of the trees, and it's celebrated by focusing on fruits. We eat certain fruits, specifically the fruits that the land of Israel is praised for, and some have the custom to have a Kabbalistic TuBishvat Seder. But the question that you brought up is why now? Why do we celebrate TuBishvat in the dead of the winter, which seems like an odd time to have the Jewish Arbor Day? And I've also heard that answer given that, well, in Israel, it's the springtime. Well, that could not be farther from the truth. I lived in Israel for 9 years, and I can tell you the climate in Israel is actually quite similar to the climate here in Denver, Colorado, where I live right now. And in the middle of January, it is freezing in Israel. It is as much winter there as it is here. The seasons, as you pointed out, are exactly the same. I don't know why people keep on making up that story. It's not true. The seasons are the same here and in Israel. We are not celebrating TuBishvat in the springtime, as one might expect us to. Rather, we are celebrating it in the dead of winter. And the reason why is because in the winter, right now, both in Israel and in the United States, the sap is beginning to move from the center of the tree to the extremities of the tree. What that means is even though in the winter everything looks like it's dead, the reality is it's not dead, it's dormant. And right now begins the process of growth that brings us to the spring. Without a winter, there cannot be a spring. And right now, all of the hard work is happening. It's just happening beneath the surface. Celebrating TuBishvat now in the middle of winter reminds us that real growth doesn't happen overnight. That real growth is a slow and steady process that often you cannot see because it's beneath the surface. Keep the questions coming. Submit your own question at jydenver.com/dearrabbi, and I hope to see you back here next week.